All right, Matthew Schmidt, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Matt, you made a movie called The Sandman. It's a short film. I
Yep.
found it on YouTube.
Mhm.
Jen, do you want to open up with that question that you had?
Yeah, sure. We were wondering how you got into filmmaking and what inspired you to make a film about the Sandman, like what drew you to the Sandman folklore.
Okay. Well, as far as the filmmaking part, I started out by writing screenplays, feature length screenplays that would require the two I wrote would both require like the full assistance of like the full studio machine, if you will. It's not something like an independent filmmaker would be able to do without somehow miraculously pulling in some major budget, which I can't imagine they'd be able to do. And the problem was I wasn't getting read and rejected. I wasn't getting read because I'm a no-namer. So I stumbled across a movie on Amazon Prime, and we're going back to 2018 now, when Amazon Prime was a little more open to independent filmmakers. But I didn't know that. I just saw, hey, somehow this person got their movie on Amazon Prime, and in the first 5 minutes of the movie, they mentioned my local electricity company. So I was like, oh, I use the same electricity company. This person's local. So I was able to track them down through social media, message them, and I was like, hey, how'd you do it? And they kind of walked me through the process. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I start filmmaking and if I actually get decent at it and build up enough of a following, maybe I can make enough of a name for myself where I could take these unproduced screenplays and be like, here, now I have a little more of a name behind me or possibly, an agent or whatever the case may be, and say, here, now maybe I can actually talk to you studio people and, you'll at least listen to my ideas. So that was the initial goal. And as I progressed with filmmaking, I just keep loving it more and more. And hopefully, this is for the audience to decide, not me, getting better and better with each film. As far as the inspiration for Mr. Sandman, one of the first lessons I learned in screenwriting was to make whatever you're writing, try to make it primal, meaning hit that primal chord that everyone can relate to. Because if you can grab on something that everyone can relate to, you're more than likely going to have mass appeal. So with Mr. Sandman, yes, that's the title, but it's almost more about childhood fear of the dark, at its core. Now, no matter what race, gender, culture you come from, either you're watching a child, either you are a child while you're watching this movie, or we were all children once. So either way, I knew if nothing else, fear of the dark and that childhood fear of the dark is something we could all relate to. Then it became up to me to, well, do it well. Because just because you have a good idea doesn't mean it's presented well. So it was up to me to try to do it well. And again, I have to let the audience decide that if it was done well or not.
Cool. Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I think to a certain extent, a lot of like all horror kind of has to come back to like really primal, evolutionary fears for people, right? The dark is one of them. I think sometimes our own bodies is another one. Death, right? Um, so yeah, so that's a really interesting place to start. Yeah, it's interesting that you kind of just took like a movie about the fear of the dark, and I totally get that, particularly in scenes having to do with the little girl Zoe kind of sneaking upstairs and flicking lights on and off, and yeah, I certainly kind of like I watching the movie, I remember
Mhm.
experiencing that. Jen, I don't know if you ever had
Oh,
that experience, Jen.
yeah, definitely. And especially there's a scene where she's like at the bottom of the stairs because she wants to get her little stuffed animal and she's like looking up at the stairs, I think, and it's like this ominous darkness. And like I feel like everyone who has like everyone as a kid like had that like sudden fear, like what's in, it's like the unknown, like what's in
Right.
there. So I
Right.
think that like, yeah, it's definitely something that like you can relate to. And that scene definitely stuck out too, because it was like, is there something in the dark or is it actually just her fear in her head, like the suspense of it?
Right. And that's that. I mean, I'm glad you both picked up on that because that was the goal of the movie was not only to hit those primal chords, but also to, hit a little bit of a nostalgia chord too. Like, oh, I've been there or I've done that or I've turned lights on and off or I've pulled my feet in to make sure they're under the covers or whatever the case may be. Or I saw a shadow or I heard things. So it was definitely to those primal and nostalgic chords.
I thought a particularly effective scare in the movie was when the sort of mom zombie, the mombi, if you will, is underneath the covers
Right.
because that violates the rules, right? Like the
Yes.
childhood rules are that if you stay, if every part of your body is under the covers and all this, you are safe, right? And so no, I appreciated that little scare. I thought that was.
Hmm.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you're right. It did violate that safe space.
Can I ask a question about that larger sequence
Sure.
in the bedroom? Um, and this is I'm thinking about this beginning kind of like she gets to the bedroom, she kind of says her prayers, and all the way through all of the mom stuff, and even just a little bit beyond. Um, I was getting strong Suspiria vibes from that.
Okay.
And I think like a lot of the sort of audio stuff that goes along with that. I recall like sort of like cacophonous uh screaming or perhaps laughing that goes along with a lot of those jump scares. Some of the kind of like I remember at one point like a window blows open and her hair is just kind of blowing in the wind. It's got really strong Dario Argento vibes. And I'm wondering if that was an inspiration for you or is that just kind of happenstance?
Well, it's funny because I've had a hard time finding the original Suspiria a place to stream it. And it's been on, and I keep seeing the remake pop up, but I've really wanted to see the original. So actually, I've never actually seen the original. So I'm glad that, you brought that to your viewing experience. There were definitely a lot of inspirations in the film. I just, unfortunately, I can't say that's one of them. But I want to watch it even more because now I want to see. I'm like, oh, that's what he's talking about. The other big comparison I keep hearing over and over again is Skinamarink. Um,
Hmm.
and I
Interesting.
haven't seen Skinamarink either. I can't find that anywhere to stream. So those are two that are on my list to see. Suspiria was always just because I just wanted to see a good horror movie, and Skinamarink now. While I was shooting this, Skinamarink came out, and I'm like, wow, that looks similar to what we're doing here. Although Skinamarink appears to be found footage, if I'm not mistaken.
Jen
It
loves
is.
Skinamarink. Jen,
I
tell us
do.
tell us about Skinamarink.
No, this is not a Skinamarink
Well,
podcast.
I've heard mixed things. I'll be honest with you. I have heard mixed things about Skinamarink, but I'm still looking forward to viewing it. So
Yeah, no doubt, and it's definitely got a vibe and a style, and I get the connections. I do because it's about children. It's about a scary house in the dark.
Yeah.
It's
And I do think the lighting is actually so like the parts that are shot in the dark uh have a similar like kind of like color scheme,
okay,
if you will. It also looks like a house that is lived in, that like people live in, which
right.
I feel like Skinamarink has.
are there any directors that you were intentionally trying to emulate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, a lot of people seem to get scared when they're talking about their own film. They're like, well, I don't want to, say that I copied this person or copied that person or whatever the case may be. But there's this great George Lucas quote that I love. And he said, everything's been done before. He said, don't worry about that. Don't sit there and stress. I can't do this because this person did this or that person did that. He said, everything's been done before, but it has not been done by you. So don't stress about that.
Yes,
So
I believe the Bare Naked Ladies also said that. It's all
did
been
they?
done.
Okay.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Oh, that's good too. And it's true, even in music. I mean, God, there are so many songs that sound similar. I mean, if you take, I don't want to get too off topic, but if you take like Greta Van Fleet, I mean, if that's not Led Zeppelin Reborn, I don't know what is. So,
Yeah.
but I enjoy them both, so it's okay, you know. Um, but so there's definitely inspiration from Kubrick. Mostly there's particular shots that are slow dolly ins that are directly inspired by The Shining. The mom sequence you were referring to has a heavy Evil Dead inspiration to it.
Oh yeah, I see that for sure.
Yeah. The opening of the window, that particular shot where the window flies open and the camera rushes in on Zoe with the wind blowing, um, definitely was inspired by Poltergeist. There's no doubt about it.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
I
So
can
Tobe
totally see
Hooper's in
that.
there.
Mhm.
So you take Tobe Hooper, Sam Raimi, Kubrick. Trying to think. And I I do. I'm a big special features guy, and I love watching like director interviews and what have you. So I do take a lot of my inspiration from Spielberg on lining up shots in a way that organically portrays what I'm trying to get across. For instance, if you go back to Jaws, there's a sequence and it's during the day, and the way he has the camera, it's about halfway in the water and halfway out of the water, and you see the water actually lapping up on the lens. He said, well, I wanted to have the camera at people level so that the audience feels like they're in the water with this group of people. So I try to have the camera be at like the an organic point of view for the audience so they could feel like they're going through it with Zoe.
Yeah. No, very cool. Very cool.
Sticking with talking about Sandman now, going back to Sandman, um, I was curious. So as I was watching it, there's a few moments where we see like Catholic imagery or Christian imagery come
Mm-hmm.
out. And so I was wondering what inspired you to incorporate Catholicism or Christianity into the Sandman folklore.
Well, I did. I mean, I grew up Catholic, so it was an easy translation for me. Um, I Some of my favorite horrors are religious horrors. The Exorcist, The Omen, stuff like that. Exorcist 3, uh, by the way, most underrated horror movie I've ever seen. So
It's a great movie.
I absolutely love it.
I'm sorry, Exorcist 3?
Correct.
Quoi?
Yes. That's
I have not, I don't think I've seen that one.
wow. If I may jump off on a side note here and say, please do, and please treat yourself. I highly doubt you'd be disappointed. But so it was an easy transition for me. But there's something about, I don't want to say that this was a religious horror movie because it wasn't, but it was easy for me to translate that. But there is something about the way those satanic or religious horrors, however you want to categorize them, there's something about the presence of evil that they present that is so effective. And again, it might affect me more because I grew up Catholic, but I've, again, seen people from all races and religions cower at The Exorcist. So I didn't think it was something that would alienate anyone. I wasn't worried about that. It's just that this character happened to have a rosary on her bed and she happened to say a prayer. It certainly wasn't, I certainly wasn't trying to put across any type of messaging. I was just trying to stick with that primal fear of the dark. So it's there, but it's not some intended bigger message. I'll put it that way.
That's really interesting. I my whole career and life is like analyzing literature, analyzing film. And I felt like with some of those shots, particularly of like crucifixes and um and stuff, and I happen to notice when she jumps into bed with her parents, her dad shouts, "Jesus Christ," like um yeah, I was picking up like I don't know, just maybe not necessarily like pushing a religious message, but I wondered if you were not playing with some themes of like Christianity or religion in the film overall, and I wonder if you could speak to that. Just
Yeah, I mean, as far as the dad's concerned, I one of my best friends is Jewish, and he said Jesus Christ when he's frustrated more than anybody I know. So, um, to me, that expression, especially when you're frustrated for whatever reason, has become more of a, like, when people sneeze, they say "God bless you." Now, are they actually saying "God bless you"? No, it's just become a phrase, So I I certainly didn't think of that one that way. That's funny
so
that you.
I'm reading too deep into it. I'm just
Yeah, no, you know what it is. I don't. I'm very much focused on entertaining. And whatever that means, whether it means scaring you or making you laugh or making you cry, that's my goal. I personally, I one of the screenplays I wrote, one of the reviews I got back was, wow, there's a really strong anti-bullying message here. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, not in Sandman, just one of the screenplays I wrote separate.
I was like,
And
what? I didn't
yeah,
get that at
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you. But it's funny to me because it's like, wow, it's like I certainly didn't intend an anti-bullying message. I was just using the archetype of the bully and the unpopular kid for to tell a story, but I wasn't trying to send a message. So I think it just comes down to art, which is open for interpretation. And I would never tell you don't find the religious symbolism or do find it. I can tell you what my intent was, but it's still up to you to take what you want from it. And I like that about film. That's what I love about art. It's like there are plenty of people who have intent when they make movies to put messages across. So far, at least, I do not. I only look to invoke visceral reactions out of people because I know that's what's effective. But I may have a film in the future that has a message, or I may not. But the only thing I can say about this film is there was no intent to have any type of message. It was just more to pick at your primal chords and pick at your nostalgia chords.
That's totally interesting. And I find also, Jen and I have had conversations about that. We're both artists as well. Jen is a visual artist. I'm a songwriter. And we've both like talked about in previous episodes how we've like made art that has things in it that we don't see or that we don't immediately realize, you know what I mean? Or that we didn't intend, but that like I've definitely written songs that where people interpret it a certain way, or I come to it later and suddenly realize kind of what I feel like it's actually about, and it's just interesting that art becomes this thing that becomes kind of detached from the artist after a while.
Yeah, and some of those interpretations that I've gotten from my artwork I like better than what was in my head. Although a couple I was like, oh no, that's not what I intended at all. So I need to revise what I'm doing.
Right.
But that kind of begs the question, doesn't it? Do you need to revise? I mean, it was what was in your heart at the time. That's what you created with your intent. And it's kind of like there's a very interesting debate that once something is made, a piece of art, whether it be film, music, or whatever, it kind of doesn't belong to you anymore. It kind of belongs to the public. but that doesn't mean your original intent wasn't there, you know? So whatever you intended, but you know, I have no problem with the public taking it however they want to take it. I just hope they like it as an artist. That's it.
Yeah.
I just hope I've entertained. That's my hope. But I love hearing different interpretations because I love hearing things that, like you just said, Jen, you didn't even think of, and it's such a great thing. Actually, I've done several podcasts on this movie, and you two are the first to bring up the religious aspect. So there you go. And I think it's great. I do. I love hearing people coming at it from different points of view because, well, why wouldn't you? It means that no matter what, I've at least engaged you at some point.
Sure, or that people are engaging it, right? That people
Right.
are trying to meaningfully interact with it, which is, yeah, in my opinion, really kind of the highest, as an artist, the highest honor you can get, right? That people are meaningfully trying to interpret it and consider it close.
Yep, and really
Right.
like think about it. Which actually I wanted to ask you, just like I think on YouTube it had like, if I'm correct, 7 million views? Is that right?
Oh no.
7,000?
Yeah, it was 7,000. It wasn't 7 million.
What
7,000?
I've heard is that this film has 7 million views. Matt, you're doing,
I
you're
was like,
killing it.
wow. I was like, wait, did I miss something? No.
Look, it's late at night, but
There's the Tubi version, which has infinitely number more viewers than the YouTube version. It was the YouTube version kind of got hamstrung. I'm sorry, I'll just jump in here real quick. The YouTube version somewhat got hamstrung because it was released by the distributor, not by my channel. And I didn't, and I put the second it came out, I put the trailer up on YouTube as well. I had no clue that the trailer would somehow affect the movie, but apparently YouTube hates when there's like multiple versions of a title, and they because the numbers were going up and up and up, and then all of a sudden it died like instantly. And I was like, what happened? And then when I took the trailer down, the numbers started going up again, but then it like just stopped again. So there were so many complications with the initial rollout. But when it went to Tubi, thankfully it got a second life. It's like 7,000 on YouTube, but then it got much bigger on Tubi, thankfully.
that's
So
awesome. Have you been able to show it at any film festivals or anything?
yeah, we were just God, I wish I could have attended, but reality stepped in the way, and I ended up needing a new couch and a new fridge all in the same month. I was going to go down to Orlando, fly down to MegaCon. Mr. Sandman was a finalist for Best Short, and my other film, The Challenge, was an official selection. And it was at the Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival, and it was down in Orlando, and I just, even though flights down there are dirt cheap, I just couldn't swing it with the cost of the hotel and everything because I got a double whammy there. So I unfortunately missed that show, but my daughter played Zoe, did get Best Actress at another film festival for the short. So I was very proud.
Wait. That's your daughter?
That is my daughter.
What?
Well, congrats to what I mean, I'm gonna call her character's name.
What's her real name?
Her real name is Haley Kate Schmidt.
Well, congrats to Haley.
I don't know. I don't really know what else other questions I have. Jen, are there things that you're waiting to ask to clear the decks?
No, I don't have any more questions about the movie, but I do wonder, do you have any upcoming projects coming up?
At the moment, this was a heavy undertaking. It really was. It physically and creatively somewhat drained me. I'll be honest with you. And right now, I'm just enjoying talking to different people, promoting it. Trying to let it build its life, and hopefully lead to a successful Indiegogo campaign that I can build on to make to expand my budget a little bit and to shoot something a little more grand. At the moment, I have two possible films I would like to explore. They're only in concept phase at the moment, so it's a little early yet. But I do have two other ideas I would really like to explore. One of them is, again, actually, you know what? I should say three. One of them is a straight horror. One of them is more of a horror comedy. And the third is a straight up comedy series that I would probably just use YouTube for. That I also have in my head. But I haven't really sat down and developed these fully. I've just jotted down some notes here and there. When an idea comes to me that seems to fit with one of them, I'm like, okay, this would probably work at some point here. So, yeah, only at the concept phase at the moment, but I'm hopeful to definitely get started in the near future. I'll just leave it open at that. But this was a big undertaking, and it definitely, I need a little bit of a break.
Yeah, well, and you just put this one out. I mean, comparatively speaking, film takes a long time for things to go from concept to finished product. So, yeah, that's totally understandable.
Well, this took about 3 years start to finish with scheduling. So, and it's only a 36-minute film. So,
yeah,
there you go.
That's wild. So, Matt, you mentioned that you kind of have a day job. I wonder, could you just tell us a little bit about like who you are, what you do, what your normal human life is like outside of your superhuman life as a filmmaker? You know what I mean?
You mean at night where I throw on the mask and
you don the cape and yes, exactly.
Make movies instead of just paying bills? Yeah, I can tell you a lot about me. Unfortunately, I can't mention my job. My job has strict rules about representing them to any media without express written permission.
Oh, so shit, you're a secret agent?
Sure, let's go with that. My everyday life is, I'm not, I don't want to sound boring, but it's just a family life, and I mean, yourself, you have kids. It's just your life becomes all about them, and it's like you get your life as an individual gets kind of put on the back burner, and you have responsibilities. So it really is like work errands. And I think this filmmaking thing, it has been a great creative outlet for me because it lets me express myself, and it makes me truly happy. So I can't say enough about it. I do truly love being creative. I really do. And my only regret is that I didn't chase this dream much earlier in life. And it does eat away at me, but I'm trying to somewhat make up for lost time.
But I also think that it's never too late to, reinvent yourself, pursue new things. I think that's a sign of often sometimes the healthiest people is that they're able to start something new. And, some of the most interesting people that I've ever met went to college again in their 40s or 50s because they just found this passion they wanted to do.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think when you have a passion, it keeps you feeling young and alive. And I, without any unforeseen circumstances, I hope to live a very long life. And I'm hoping that, I limit my regrets because I do not believe in reincarnation. So I think we only get one shot at this fun ride, and I just really want to make the most of it. And I think that, I have found something that truly, truly makes me happy. For myself, outside of obviously, seeing my kids succeed and grow is the happiest thing. But for myself, I found something that truly puts a smile on my face, and it's actually a great stress reducer too.
Yeah, contrary to what I hear from lots of people about filmmaking as as a stressor, but I think that's great, man, and I think that's awesome. And I think Jen and I are just about out of questions, and do you have any other thoughts that you want to express about your film? Or, obviously we should tell people to check it out. You can find it on YouTube, Mr. Sandman. You can find it on Tubi.
I'll just say the Tubi version does have, because I'm a special features nut, 10 minutes worth of interviews with the cast and crew after the credits, so that if you don't want to watch it, you can just shut it off when the credits roll. Or if you do, it's there if you would like it. I hope this movie, for the people that have seen it, seems to be landing the way I wanted it to. And I'm really proud of it. And I really hope that all your listeners enjoy it and check it out. And it's only 36 minutes. So I promise not to take up too much of your life. I try not to bore you if I can. But I just really hope everyone enjoys it, because I am really proud of it, and I did pour a lot of my heart and soul into it.
Matt, thank you for joining us here.
No, thank you so much, guys, for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure when, people want to take the time and talk about it, talk to me and take any interest in what I'm doing here.